What's up guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to another interesting video. Today we'll learn how I made this beautiful gypsy summer dress. It's very easy to make and you don't need much materials to make this. Okay, these are the materials I used in making this dress. So I traced out the bodice pattern on this tracing paper, and I used this same pattern for my front and back. So that's the back neckline and this is the front neckline. Okay, that's the back armhole and this is the front armhole, and I added seam allowance on the sides and on the waistline as well. Now these are the measurements you need for the project. Is to make some pleats on our main fabric. This is the one we're using for the bodice, and it's just 1 meter, so you need your hip circumference. This fabric has a width of 60 inch. I've just folded that into two. Let me show you. This is the width, is 60 inch, and I've folded it into two, and the length is my hip circumference. Okay, so if you have your hip circumference as the width, you now fold into two. That will give you twice your hip circumference. So this will be the length of your dress. Just measure from the top to, I have 30 inch, which is the width of this fabric, so that's what I'm using for this project. Now the full length of your dress will now be this. We'll just use this to add at the bottom to complete the full length. So the full length of this dress is 40 inch. Now I have 30 inch on the width. By the time I take out ½ inch at the bottom and ½ inch at the top, I will have 29 inch, which implies that I need 10 more inches to complete the length. So you just cut this with 10 inches or 11 inches as the case is here, and add your 1 inch for your hemming allowance or 2 inches. So that's just what I did here. To fold, after folding this into two, you're going to further fold it again. So you fold it this way. Now it's folded into four. When you folded this, you're going to bring your bodice pattern. Bring your pattern, place it on this point. Now on your waistline, you're going to mark it exactly where you added your ½ inch seam allowance. You're going to mark on that point. Now you're going to mark it all around this pattern. Just mark it from here to around this fabric. Okay, so now when you've done that, you're going to now mark your bust span as well. I'm using a white chalk, so you may not really see it, but just know that this is where the bust span is. Okay, and mark the same thing at the top. It's 4.5 inches for bust span for this project, so mark it here. Then you're going to use a ruler to mark that to the top. Then the waistline, mark that as well. So repeat this same marking on the other side. So cut the shoulder line. You're going to take this to your sewing machine and you start sewing from that bust span line. You're going to sew ½ inch, just pinch up ½ inch like so. Then you're going to make a top stitch. Make sure you sew on the front of your fabric. That's on the right side. So just hold that and sew from that top to the waistline. Okay, then when you've done that, you're going to pinch another half inch, sew to this waistline as well. Then you pinch again and sew to the waistline. You do that until you get to the last side. Okay, you're going to do this first before you cut out your bodies on this. Okay. So this is for the front bit and this is for the back one. Okay, so I ended up having 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 on the right, and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 on the left. So whatever you have on the right, make sure you have same on the left for equal proportion. Now we need to cut the back one first before we cut the front. Because of our pattern, we have to use this top neckline for the back. Then for the front, we have to cut the neckline on the second bit for the front. Okay, fold it into two, and you're going to align, you know, the first point where you made your stitch, you're going to align it with the first point where you made the stitch on the right. So align both, and you're going to pin it exactly on that seam line. Then you have to align the other side as well. Align this as well and pin it. So that way you have that side. That way you can pin this one as well. So come to the waistline. When you come to the waistline as well, you take your first seam and align with the first one on the left as well. Then you're going to pin that in place. Then come halfway on the seam, align the front, the left and right seam as well. Okay, then you're going to pin that in place. Now you're ready to cut your pattern. Okay, so the back is done. Now we do the front. So pin the front as well, the same way you did for the back. So trim out the front. And the front is done. after sewing up the sides, you're going to attach this at the bottom. So you either make basting stitch, gather it, and apply that on the bottom, all around the bottom, or you can make tiny pleats. Okay, just make tiny pleats all around the bottom, whichever way you prefer. It still comes out beautiful. Next, we'll cut out some ruffles that we'll place around the shoulders and upper chest of this dress. Okay, so I'm just measuring between 3 inch to 3.5. So it's going to be 3.5 width, so that by the time you sew it, it will become 3 inch. And this will have to be placed on fold. Depends on the weight of your fabric. If you're using a heavyweight fabric, you don't need to place it on fold. But because this one is lightweight, that's why I've placed it on fold, just to give it a little firmness. So just cut as many pieces as you want, depending on the length you need to go around your shoulder. Next, you mark the points where you want to sew on your ruffles. So I'm measuring 8 inch from my shoulder line. Okay, so that's at the center point. Then you decide the shape you want it to take. If you want a square or round or like a V, it depends on what you want. So just play with it the way you want. Just mark it first with a chalk. Then you're going to follow that pattern when you're sewing the ruffles onto the dress. And at the back too, measure maybe 8 or 9 inches, depends on what you want to do. So continue the line, extend it to the back. You can make it square at the back. If you can sew this ruffle before closing the side seam, it will be better and easier. So for the sleeve, you just use your basic sleeve pattern to cut out a straight sleeve. So you determine the length you want for your sleeve. For this one, I used 15.5. So by the time I hem, it will come up to 14.5. So that's what you need to do for the sleeves. The link to the drafting of basic sleeve pattern will be in the description. So we'll overlock the dress, just overlock all the raw edges of the dress. So to finish off, we're going to sew on our elastic to the dress. So this will be on the waistline. Just cut it into 2 or into 4. so that you can sew it on 2 different lines or just 1 line. So like on this dress, you're going to turn to the side of your dress. You spread out your seam line, then you're going to sew this elastic on there. Start from the end of your seam where you made your pleats on the sides. Okay, so you just start from there, place it on the second line. Remember to do your back stitch, then you sew it on. So just be sewing. As you're sewing it, be dragging the elastic. Okay, so drag the elastic until you get to that point, then do a top stitch like that, so that by the time you release the elastic, it shrinks your dress on the waistline. So the second one as well, you're going to do same. Start from there, make your back stitch, expand your flatten out your seam, then stretch your elastic and sew it on there. Then when you finish sewing, it's going to shrink your dress as well. So that's how the dress will take shape on the waistline. So when you do this on one side, you do it on the other side as well. So that's the easy thing to do, and when you finish, your dress will come out looking like this. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate your time. Please subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. Share this video with your friends and give it a thumbs up. Drop me a comment, suggestions or questions, and I'll be happy to respond to all your questions. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.